My doctor looked at my chart last spring, then looked at me, then back at the chart. He said, "Robert, I have patients 20 years younger than you in worse shape than this. I'm 77. I don't run marathons. I don't take a dozen supplements. I don't follow any special diet. But I do have 7 habits, and I've had them so long I almost forgot they were habits at all." Here's something nobody tells you when you turn 65. Aging well isn't about what you add, it's about what you refuse to give up. Most people assume that getting older means gradually letting things go, stopping the walks because the knees hurt, skipping breakfast because the appetite isn't there, withdrawing from friends because it takes more effort than it used to, giving up on learning new things because the brain feels slower. And bit by bit, quietly, without any single dramatic moment, they shrink. Not their bodies necessarily, their lives. I've watched it happen to men I respected, strong men, smart men, men who were vital at 65 and somehow diminished at 75, not from illness, but from gradual surrender. And I've watched the opposite too, men and women in their 80s who move through the world with a kind of quiet authority, who are curious and engaged and genuinely present, who don't complain much, who seem, against all logic, to be getting more interesting with age rather than less. The difference between those two groups is not luck, it's not genetics mostly, it's habits, specific, simple, unglamorous habits that they kept when everyone around them was letting go. Today, I want to share 7 of them, not because I read them in a book, but because I've lived them and because I've watched what happens to people who abandon them. Stay with me through all 7, because number 5 is the one that surprised me most when I finally understood why it works, and number 7 is the one I almost gave up myself. Before we get to habit number 2, I want to tell you something that a gerontologist, that's a doctor who specializes in aging, told me at a conference I attended 3 years ago. She said the single strongest predictor of how well someone ages has nothing to do with their body. I'll tell you exactly what she said in about 4 minutes. It stopped me cold. The first habit is this: you move your body before you talk yourself out of it. Not a workout, not a program, just movement, early, before the day gives you reasons to skip it. I walk every morning, have for 30 years. 20 minutes, sometimes 30, nothing dramatic, just out the door and down the street. My friend Ed is 81. Still mows his own lawn, still walks to the pharmacy 2 blocks away instead of driving. His son keeps offering to hire someone for the yard work. Ed refuses every time. I asked him why once. He said, "The day I stop doing things myself is the day I start needing someone to do everything for me." He's right. Movement isn't just physical, it's a daily declaration that you are still capable, still here, still in charge of your own life. The men and women I know who aged hardest, the ones who declined fastest, almost all share one thing in common. They stopped moving regularly in their late 60s, early 70s, not because they couldn't, because they decided they'd earned the rest. There's a difference between rest and surrender. Make sure you know which one you're choosing. The second habit is protecting your sleep like it's your most valuable asset, because after 65, it is. I go to bed at the same time every night. I wake up without an alarm. I don't apologize for sleeping 7 to 8 hours, and I don't brag about getting by on 5. Sleep is when your brain clears out the waste products of the day. Literally, there's a system in your brain called the glymphatic system that only fully activates during deep sleep. It flushes out the proteins associated with cognitive decline. Every night you shortchange your sleep, you're skipping that cleaning cycle. My neighbor Don prided himself on being a 4-hour-a-night man his whole life, said he didn't need more. By 72, his memory was giving him real trouble. His doctor told him directly the sleep deprivation had caught up. Don started taking sleep seriously at 73. He told me it took almost a year, but things improved noticeably. It's not too late, but the sooner you treat sleep as sacred, the better. third habit, you eat real food at a real table without a screen in front of you. Not a diet, not calorie counting, just the simple act of treating meals as something that deserves your full attention. This sounds almost too simple to matter, but think about what happens when you eat distracted, in front of the television, half watching the news. You eat faster, you eat more than you need, you don't taste what you're eating, and you miss the small pleasure of a good meal, which is one of the genuine daily pleasures available to us at any age. My friend Walter lost his wife 4 years ago. For the first year, he ate standing over the kitchen sink, cold food, fast, alone. He told me he lost 12 pounds that year, not intentionally, just because eating had lost all meaning. Eventually, his daughter came and stayed for a week and insisted they eat at the table together every evening. Walter said something shifted in him by day 3. He started cooking again. Small things. Eggs in the morning, soup from scratch on Sundays. Food prepared with care and eaten with attention is one of the underrated acts of self-respect available to us. Don't give it up. We're halfway through, and I promised you what that doctor told me about the single strongest predictor of aging well. Here it is, exactly as she said it. She said, "The patients who age best are the ones who still have something they're looking forward to next week. Not next year, not someday, next week." That's habit number 5, and it changes everything about how you structure your days. But first, habits 4 and the one right after it.
Fourth habit. You maintain at least one friendship that has nothing to do with family. One friend who knew you before you were somebody's father, somebody's grandfather. One person who calls you by your first name and means it, who argues with you sometimes, who doesn't handle you carefully. Research on longevity is absolutely consistent on this point. Social connection is not optional for healthy aging. It is biological. Isolation affects the body the same way chronic stress does. It elevates inflammation, disrupts sleep, weakens immunity. But it has to be real connection, not polite, not obligatory, real. My friend Carl, I've mentioned him before, we've known each other for 31 years. We disagree about politics, we disagree about baseball, we've had 3 serious arguments in 3 decades and recovered from all of them. He's the one person in my life who tells me the truth about myself without softening it, and I do the same for him. That friendship has kept me honest, kept me grounded, kept me in some way I can't fully explain younger than my years. If you've let friendships slide, and most of us have, life gets busy, pick up the phone this week. Not a text, a call. Start there. Fifth habit, the one the doctor pointed to, the one I think matters more than almost anything else on this list. You keep something in your life that you're genuinely looking forward to next week. Not a grand event, not a vacation or a milestone, something small and real and near. A fishing trip with a friend, a book you're halfway through, a project in the garage, a recipe you've been meaning to try, a grandchild's game on Saturday. Something that makes next week feel worth getting to. Here is why this matters so profoundly after 65. When people lose their forward momentum, when every week looks identical to the last and there's nothing on the horizon that pulls them forward, the body responds, not dramatically, but measurably. Energy drops, sleep gets worse, appetite fades, the immune system weakens. We are not built for stasis. We are built for anticipation, for the small excitement of something coming. I keep a list, literally a piece of paper on my kitchen table. 3 things I'm looking forward to in the next 2 weeks. They're never big things. Right now it says the new woodworking project I'm starting Thursday, a phone call with my old college friend on Sunday, and the first tomatoes from my garden which should be ready by the weekend. That list is one of the most important things in my house. If you can't think of 3 things you're looking forward to in the next 2 weeks, that's not a small problem. That's something worth fixing today, not someday, today. Sixth habit, you stay curious about something outside your own life. Read, watch documentaries, take a class, learn one thing this month that you didn't know last month. The brain is not a muscle exactly, but it responds to use the way muscles do. The neural pathways you exercise stay sharp. The ones you neglect thin out. But beyond the neuroscience, curiosity keeps you interesting to others and to yourself. I've noticed that the people who age hardest socially are the ones who stopped being interested in the world, who only talk about the past, about their health, about what things used to be like, who have no questions left. And the people who remain vital, who people genuinely enjoy being around at 80, at 85, they're still asking questions, still surprised by things, still willing to say, "I didn't know that. Tell me more." That posture, that genuine openness is a habit, and like all habits, you either practice it or you lose it. The seventh habit, the one I almost gave up, gratitude. Daily, specific, spoken or written gratitude. I know how that sounds. I know some of you just rolled your eyes a little. I did too the first time someone suggested it to me. Seemed soft, seemed like something for people who put inspirational quotes on their refrigerators. But here's what changed my mind. About 5 years ago, I went through a period of real bitterness. Lost 2 close friends within 8 months. My health had some scares. I was angry in a way I couldn't quite name, at aging, at loss, at the general unfairness of things. My pastor suggested I write down 3 specific things I was grateful for every morning before I got out of bed. Not general things, specific, not my health, but the fact that I walked to the end of the street this morning without stopping. I thought it was foolish. I did it anyway, because I was desperate enough to try anything. Within 3 weeks, something shifted. Not dramatically, but I started noticing things I'd stopped seeing. The particular way the light came through the kitchen window in the morning. The sound of the neighborhood waking up. Small things that had been there all along while I was busy being angry. Gratitude doesn't deny the hard things. It doesn't pretend loss isn't loss. It just insists that the good things are also real, also worth accounting for. That daily practice, 2 minutes every morning, has done more for my mental clarity and emotional steadiness than anything else on this list. Don't give it up, and if you never started, start tomorrow. Here is your one action for today. Look at these 7 habits and pick the one you've let slide the most. Just one, not all 7, one. Write it down. Put it somewhere you'll see it tomorrow morning, and do one small version of it tomorrow. One walk, one meal at a table, one phone call, one thing on your looking forward to list, 3 sentences of gratitude. Just one habit, one day. See how it feels. Because aging well isn't a project you complete. It's a direction you keep choosing, one ordinary morning at a time. I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 habits do you still have, and which one have you let go further than you'd like? Leave it in the comments, honestly, because I think when we name these things out loud, even to strangers, something in us decides to take them more seriously. And next time, I want to talk about something that takes real courage to admit after 65, the difference between being content and being settled, between peace and giving up. That line is thinner than most people think, and I've stood on the wrong side of it myself. I'll see you then.